Hey friends, welcome back to the AI Empowered series, the complete guide to AI for your personal and professional lives. So today I want to talk about something really important when we're thinking about AI, and that's ethical use of AI, both in our personal and professional lives. So I'm going to provide to you a framework that enables maximum AI power while also being safe and responsible with AI, especially with your reputation and your career. We're going to examine how ethical AI leaders are building a sustainable advantage through responsible innovation. And I think that's key when we're talking about ethics, because ethics are not always easy. We're adhering to a standard approach to responsible use of technology, and you can be tempted to go outside of ethics for cheap wins or get rich quick schemes. But I think really it's safer to be on a sustainable trajectory with your technology relationship so you can really feel confident in your use of AI rather than sometimes feeling like you're cheating or you're not using it correctly. I've really thought about business ethics and how businesses have a responsibility to provide some kind of social benefit to society. I think it's really important that we hold our businesses and our organizations to ethical standards that improve the well-being of everybody and not just try to achieve financial growth endlessly. So at the end of this video, you'll be able to master this sort of ethical consideration with AI and understand how your AI use fits into your ethics and your morals. So I think it's really important because there's a stigma that's forming around AI that somehow using it is cheap, or there's a lot of fear about AI being trained on unethical data gathering practices and things. And I really want to encourage those conversations to continue because it examines how we value the work that we do and how we value the information that we have about ourselves and others. So just want to set the scene a little bit and tell you how building this partnership with AI in an ethical way, it really sets you up for that sustainable competitive advantage that's going to last long beyond where AI is today. Really understand that if you can form this ethical approach to AI, you'll be able to use these skills throughout your entire life, entire career, as AI works alongside us. AI's power just creates these ethical obligations that can make or break your career if you don't use them in the right way. Ethical AI use actually enhances competitive advantage because it builds that credibility, it builds that trust, and sustainable relationships with partners that you really need in business. Professional leaders gain significant advantages by establishing their ethical considerations with AI and transparency about their AI use. Ethical lapses in AI can really destroy decades of progress in your career and in your business because you can destroy trust in a second. And I really would hate to see you come so far on your AI journey, make a misstep in your ethical use, and then be set back. So ethical AI frameworks are really key to just holding yourself accountable as you navigate this powerful technology so that you're not tempted to do something unethical just for some quick, powerful capability. So I want to talk to you about this ethics framework. It's a systematic approach, so you maximize AI's power, but also do it in an ethical way. I want you to think about these excellence standards. Maintain professional quality standards that exceed expectations. Go above and beyond so that you're doing things in a trustworthy, credible way. You want to think about transparency requirements. Ensure appropriate disclosure of AI use in professional contexts. You want to think about human oversight. Where are you putting that human in the loop so that you maintain that strategic human control and judgment across AI integration? You want to think about credibility protection. when you use AI in ways that enhance rather than undermine professional credibility, you really enable people to trust what you're doing. It's not about AI use, it's about the output. It shouldn't matter how exactly you get there, as long as it's credible and you're using the tools at your disposal to create better outcomes than the competition. That really builds that trust between organizations. And finally, consider stakeholders. Consider the impact that AI has on clients, colleagues, broader professional community. You're not doing things in a vacuum. So understand how others are thinking about AI, and you're going to have to conform to a certain ethical standard that emerges throughout your industry. You can start to try to push the boundaries of what is possible in AI if there's some stigma against using it, but you're going to have to take the lead of the general industry to understand where it's appropriate to add AI and where it's not. So this ethic framework, it really enables AI to act in that sustainable way. And I want to dive a little bit more into areas like professional disclosure and transparency standards. So ethical use of AI requires strategic transparency that builds trust while maintaining that competitive advantage. You want to reveal, that when AI is being used in professional relationship and stakeholder interests, but you also want to protect how it's being used in some ways so that you're not revealing the magic that you've captured about how you're developing AI internally. You want there to be some context sensitivity. So adapt disclosure approaches based on professional context and stakeholder needs. So identify what people need in your industry to understand about how you're doing things and give them what they need. So you need to value the communication. So explain how AI enhances rather than diminishes professional value. This is really key because people associate effort with value. And if they think that you've used AI in some sort of cheap, corner-cutting way, they're going to devalue your product. But if you are transparent about the sophisticated approach that your company has to AI and how it actually enhances the value, you can actually flip that narrative around and create more value in your product because you're doing things in such a transformative way that no one else can replicate what you're doing. So I think it's important to keep that value-based communication. So emphasize how AI enhances professional value rather than defensive justification. For professional competence, demonstrate that AI use reflects competence rather than dependence. Really change the narrative that AI can be enhanced with humans' natural capabilities, and that an AI-first organization with people who are empowered with AI are just going to be able to do so much more, and that they're way more valuable than somebody who is very smart and professional but doesn't know how to leverage this powerful technology. And then think about stakeholder benefits. Frame AI disclosure in terms of stakeholder advantages and improved outcomes. So don't focus just on the process of how AI fits into your work. I think you'll find that stakeholders are more concerned with outcomes. So start with the outcomes and then go into the needs of the stakeholders to disclose how you've achieved these outcomes. And they won't care if you've used AI if they are benefiting greatly from your product. A competitive context matters where you're balancing the transparency with legitimate competitive advantages. Be mindful about how you're disclosing and what information about how you're using AI is getting out there. You want to protect the way you do things so that you can maintain that competitive advantage and not leak information about how you work with these things and think about these things to others. I want to talk about quality control a little bit because human oversight is really important with these ethical considerations. Inherently, AI doesn't have ethics. We've imposed ethical considerations onto AI large language models, but there are AI models out there that lack these ethical considerations. And so there can be some danger in terms of interacting with AI that isn't steered or has this human touch to it, because it's just computing power And if you think about some of the implications of having no ethics, it can get pretty scary about what AI might choose to do in a situation based purely on strategic direction. So always think about humans' final authority with AI. So maintain this strategic control and final decision-making authority. Don't let AI make all of the decisions and produce results without having some sort of oversight. Have that quality verification. So implement those controls so you can understand that AI is producing the quality and is accurate and representative of your company. Think about the professional standards that you work within and hold accountability to not just the AI, but the person using the AI. So we need to accept full professional responsibility for all AI assisted outputs. This is really important as we think about AI as a disembodied intelligence. There's not a clear way to point fingers or blame or hold AI accountable. So it needs to fall on the person using the AI. We cannot accept a person or an organization pointing fingers and saying, oh, it wasn't me, it was the AI. The way that we approach AI really shapes the way that this AI works. So it's a direct connection between the user and the output that we need to accept as responsibility to that person for creating that content, full stop. I want to talk about intellectual property and attribution. There's some real concern about copyright, intellectual property, and things with AI. The information that we provide it can go into the training of these things, and then that information can be output to somebody else. So we really need to protect our IP, and that's why we have these professional AI use cases where we can have a closed system. That information is not coming outside of that environment, and there's public AI use in which we can just have general conversations without sensitive data, and we can really protect ourselves and the ideas and the customer information and sensitive data that we may be privileged to have access to. So have that IP awareness, understand the intellectual property implications of AI-generated content, and be aware of how you're using that and what security and privacy policies exist in place to protect those. For attribution, you really need to develop an approach to crediting sources and collaborators appropriately, including AI. So when you work with AI as a research partner, it's going to give you a lot of sources that it's pulled from. If you use those sources with AI, you need to disclose those responsibly, as well as disclose your AI use as a contributor, as a source. So really understand that when you put something out, you are taking responsibility for that output, and you really need to take these ethical considerations and sometimes legal considerations into account. If you're misrepresenting or using copyrighted information or not attributing correctly, you could open yourself up to liability and some real consequences here. You need to think about your professional integrity. Maintain that honest representation of intellectual contributors. Don't try to steal other people's ideas or mask AIs as your own. Use AI as an enhancer and attribute to grow this space where we're talking about AI. You're growing and attributing somebody else's hard work within the place of your own ideas and your own work. And so really think about how you're having that professional integrity so you're not finding yourself in an embarrassing or damaging situation. And then finally, really think about the legal compliance obligations that you have, maybe in your life or profession. You do not want to find yourself violating any of these legal considerations. You might find yourself into a pretty difficult situation dealing with consequences from a breach of sensitive information or using AI in an inappropriate way. The responsibility really is on you to make sure that you're using AI in this ethical, safe, and responsible way. I think it's also really important to understand bias recognition in both yourself and the AI. You need to understand who built the AI, what information was it trained on, what's the sort of values and the ethical sort of guidance that the company that made the AI is overlaying on top of that information and processing that information through. And think about what you are bringing to the table in terms of your own bias, your own identity, the socioeconomic, political, historical factors that have created you as a person and that are coming to the table to this powerful technology, and what blind spots you might be missing in terms of this bias recognition. You can use AI to actually help expose some of these blind spots, but I really just think you should reflect on that idea that you do have biases. And when you enter into a conversation with another intelligence that has a bias, there can be this really complex mixing of ideas. And even worse, AI generally will try to support and tell you that you have good ideas and agree with you, making confirming bias a real issue in this ethical consideration of AI. So be aware of that bias. Think about diverse perspectives and how other people may be using AI, and try to understand where you fit in that spectrum. Critically evaluate yourself, the AI, and its output. Apply this critical thinking to identify and address bias in these outputs. And then practice inclusive consideration. So ensure AI supports rather than undermines diversity and inclusion. Diversity of thought is such a powerful thing in innovation that you really should be looking for those diverse perspectives to cover the entire area in which you're operating and the things that you're trying to do with AI. It's less effective to just go with one sort of mindset. You should really be exploring the wide range of possibilities that AI can help you explore so you can create your best work. Be a leader in AI ethics by talking about these things. You've come so far in your journey and you really understand how AI works. So really act as that leader in teaching people these fundamentals and this understanding that you now have about the cultural framework in which AI exists and how it integrates into our work and what consequences or risks may be present in AI use, and also how to do things in this sustainable way where you're building trust, you're building credibility, and you're creating that long-term advantage. I want to give you just a quick AI ethics implementation framework to help integrate these ideas into how you use AI. So implement ethical frameworks to enhance rather than limit AI capabilities. Focus on that competitive advantage that you're developing by building that trust with the people around you and also partners in your industry. Focus on that professional protection. Understand what ethical guidelines already exist in your profession and align those to AI so that it's reinforcing those and not straying away and creating problems. Really develop yourself as a leader in this space by using these AI ethical practices to establish thought leadership and industry influence. I think we all have a part in talking about these things so that we steer AI in a really positive direction in society. Such a powerful tool, and tools in of themselves do not have positive or negative implications. It's the way we use them that really shape our society. So let's try to think about using AI in a way that creates the world we want to live in. We can work together to form ethical standards on AI and a way of working that really benefits everybody. So I think if we can use this powerful technology to change the world for the better, I think it's our responsibility to have a voice in that. So please use your voice as a leader and talk about how you're using AI in an ethical and responsible way. So start to build that trust that we can make that world a better place with this technology. And really think about how you're setting yourself apart and holding yourself to an ethical, moral integrity with using this technology so that you can really grow your career. And you'll see other people may fluctuate in terms of take off and do some get rich quick scheme, but it's not sustainable because maybe they're not doing things in a way that will serve them in the long run. This technology is here to last. So really try to work with it in a way that develops over your entire life and it really serves the needs that you have. So your transformation from a basic AI user to an AI leader starts with implementing these ethical frameworks along with all of the other information that we've discussed in these modules. So assess your current AI practices against the ethics framework that we discussed and identify enhancement opportunities. Start to implement transparency and quality control systems into your workflow so that people understand how you're using AI and it builds trust rather than take it away. Develop stakeholder considerations and enhance that relationship rather than create an opportunity for trust to be destroyed. You need to understand what the stakeholder needs in a project or in business and meet them there. If they don't want AI in their product, then you should consider a different approach. But I think you'll find that if you come to a stakeholder with an outcome focused approach, they won't care exactly how you do it as long as it's ethical, and you'll achieve a better relationship because of it. So I hope you learned something today about AI ethics. It's a really interesting emerging space, especially with this rapidly evolving, powerful technology. There's some scary things going around that we really need to consider and avoid some of the risks that we identify are clearly incorporated into this technology. We need to think about how we are creating a world that's good for ourselves, good for the next generation and the further one. We need to take this systematic approach to developing the way we use AI so that it serves not just us, but our kids and their kids and so on. So let me know what you think about this AI ethics conversation. I'm really interested to hear how you're working with it, how you're transparent with AI, and just to understand kind of where things are at in different cultures with AI as well. So leave a comment down below with any of your thoughts and take a look at the description for links to some more resources that I've created, guides on AI that you can gain access to and follow along on this journey and develop your own ways of working at your own pace. And as well as join my community and learn more about me with the links. So I hope you enjoyed this episode and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Thanks.